All right, so Joe Biden was back at it again, doing what he does best, which is being an idiot and lying. This time it was pandering for the black vote. He was recently at Morehouse College, where he was the guest speaker and recipient of an honorary doctorate, which seems pretty fitting because he was basically a failure and plagiarist his whole entire life as it was. So the only way he's going to get a PhD is if it's given to him. I mean, in a class of, what was it, 601, he ranked like 568 or something. His C average student, bottom of his class. I don't even know how far along he got in his degree, if it's just a bachelor's or what. I mean, I guess he has a lawyer degree, but I don't know how lawyer degrees work, you know what I mean? I don't think it follows the standard, like, doctorate and stuff. So, wherever he's at, that's all he has. So anyways, yeah. So, at this thing, of course, it's full of hyperbole, over-exaggeration, truthfully lying. So what I mean by truthfully lying is, like, saying things that are true, but leaving out a lot of details that tell the full story. It's like you got to snip it here. You know, it's kind of like when people zero in on when Trump said it's going to be a bloodbath if he doesn't win the election, but the full context was he's talking about the automotive industry, but don't conclude that, only take that snippet. That's what Biden does a lot of here in his speech. He's also just trying to pander to the black vote, which I would really like to think that the black people are definitely smarter than him, whatever way you want to phrase this, to know that Democrats suck for them. They don't do anything for anybody, never mind the black community. They just constantly lie and try to rope the black community in, and for some reason it always seems to work. But I think, based on a lot of other videos I've seen, like of people in Harlem and stuff, or the Bronx, I mean, not Harlem, maybe Harlem too, but they seem to be smartening up, realizing that Democrats suck, and most specifically, Biden sucks. But anyways, like a complete moron, he was at this college trying to pander. And yeah, there's just a whole bunch of stupidity and nonsense, so I just want to talk about it. So with that, let's get into his dumb speech highlights, I guess.
I got more Morehouse men in the White House telling me what to do than I know what to do. You all think I'm kidding, don't you? You know I'm not. And it's the best thing that's happened to me.
So right out the gate, why does he always say that dumb line, y'all think I'm kidding, don't you? He says that all the time over everything. And majority of the time, whatever he says it about is something dumb. Like, it's not a joke at all. It's nothing that nobody is not taking seriously. It's not like, usually when people say that, it's in a context of like, no, that can't be real. What? And then you say, you think I'm kidding? I'm not. And you're like, what? Something like that is just like, okay, maybe, probably not, because it's you, and I know you lie all the time. But he says that about everything. Like, that one, maybe you could say, oh, really? He's got a lot of Morehouse? That's random. But he says it for everything. Like, he'll say the most generic comment, and it's just like, y'all think I'm kidding. Like, I had toast for breakfast. Y'all think I'm kidding. What? Nobody thought you were kidding. Okay, you had toast. Cool. Anyways, that's number one. Number two, right out the gate, this isn't the full video. Obviously, some's clipped out, but I think I'm only about a minute in. And this is his first lie already. He's saying that he has a ton of Morehouse graduates in the White House working for him, advising him, whatever, and that's a complete lie. There was one person that was from Morehouse in the White House, and it wasn't even technically working for him. It was one of Kamala's aides, and this person is no longer with the staff. They either quit or got fired, I don't know, but they're no longer with the staff, which means current day, right now, especially as of when he gave that speech, there was nobody working in the White House that was from Morehouse College. Out of however many staff there is, he had one, and that one isn't even there anymore. So, I'm not sure what you're talking about when you say, I have more people from Morehouse working for me, blah, blah, blah. Does that mean the only person that was working was Morehouse, and all the rest are just doing nothing? And that's why the country's falling apart as rapidly as it is? Maybe. You know, kind of like Twitter, how Elon took it over and fired, 75% of the staff, and basically nothing behind the scenes changed because that many people were just doing nothing? I guess that's the same thing here. And then the last thing that this moron says is he says, at the very end, he kind of, not whispers it, but he's kind of muttering it under his breath, oh, it's a blessing. And it's like, how is having people from Morehouse working for you a blessing? You have so many other things that you should be considering as a blessing. You know, you've been able to do all these crimes and get away with them because your Department of Justice wants to just focus on Trump and making up things against him. So that's a blessing that you're on the right team. You could also say, hey, I made it to the presidency. That's a blessing. The country's been around for over 250 years, and we've had, what, 45 presidents? I know, this loser's number 46. But Grover Cleveland was president twice, but non-consecutively. So that kind of makes it so it's the same guy. So that's what I'm saying, 45 presidents. So, you know, out of however many people have existed in the country over this time, 45 have made it to president. I mean, you could say that is something to be blessed about. You could also say that, you know, I'm blessed that I have people that want to, you know, help me with absolutely everything. You know, changing my diaper, getting me dressed, waking me up in the morning, this and that. Because forbid if you're able to do any of that by yourself because you're barely sentient. But no, the blessing is, oh, I have people that graduated from this random college. It's probably not random, but I never heard of it before until now. So to me, it's kind of random. So, you know, it's not like Harvard. Everyone's heard of Harvard. Everyone's heard of Yale. I never heard of Morehouse. So the point is that's what you're blessing? Oh, I had one staffer from Morehouse. It's such a blessing. All right, idiot.
I was the first Biden to ever graduate from college, taking out loans, my dad and my all through school to get me there. My junior year, spring break, I fell in love at first sight, literally, with a woman I adored. I graduated from law school in her hometown. I got married and took a job at a law firm in my hometown, Wilmington, Delaware. But then everything changed. One of my heroes, and he was my hero, a Baptist minister, a Morehouse man, Dr. Martin Luther King. In April of my law school graduation year, he was murdered. My city of Wilmington, and we were, to our great shame, a slave state, and we were segregated.
So quite a few things in that clip. I stopped it. The story goes on and on and on. First off, you can clearly tell, like, he is reading those teleprompters. His speech is not smooth at all. It's like he's somebody, like, in high school trying to read their book out loud, and it's not fluid because they're not good at reading out loud. That's him. And then my dad, and it's like, geez, bro, just talk. Jeez, as the president, I feel like you should be able to just go there and freestyle a speech. What do you got to rely so heavily on teleprompters for, and you can't even properly read them? But anyways, his story goes on and on and on and on and on, and basically all he's trying to get at is he talks about his first wife and the accident that happened that took his wife and I think one of his children's lives. And then he talks about how he met I think it was his brother introduced him to Jill, which, from what I understand, isn't that a lie? Wasn't Jill actually his babysitter, his nanny or something? And they started fooling around when she was underage still? So I don't even know about that being true. But regardless, that's what it is. But he takes forever to get there. He's like a toddler trying to tell a story. It just takes forever to get to his end goal. But the reason I wanted to highlight this clip is because, per usual, you know, it's supposed to be about these students graduating college right now and lift them up, talk about their futures and what they can achieve now that they have their degrees and stuff. And like always, he's always going to turn it to himself. Every single speech he ever gives, he always has to somehow make it about him. And here he is, out of college, supposed to be for them. It's their day, but make it about yourself. Oh, well, I met my wife, blah, 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 blah. The other thing I wanted to say was, didn't he, if I heard him correctly, which in either case doesn't matter because I can debunk it either way, but he says, it sounds like he says, the same year I graduated high school, Martin Luther King was assassinated, and this was in a state that was segregated, blah, blah, blah. So, first off, he graduated high school in 1961. Now, if I misinterpreted what he said, then I also looked up when he graduated college. That was 1965 with a double major in political science and something else. MLK Jr. was assassinated in 68. So, what are you talking about? You didn't graduate anything when he was assassinated. And then he claims, what did he say? A friend of mine? A Morehouse man. How would he be your friend? If you're, like, if he was assassinated when you were in high school, which isn't the case, because I just said this was, 7 years before? But why would you be a 17-year-old friends with an adult man? Or even if you're in early college, why would you be like a 20-year-old friends with an adult man, 22-year-old? It's kind of weird and random, and you're definitely lying. And then he says a segregated state. Delaware? Delaware, I would think, is considered a northern state. I mean, I live in Connecticut, and it's kind of like, here's Connecticut, here's Delaware. Pretty much northern. So, pretty sure Delaware wasn't segregated. I could be wrong. Maybe it was. I don't know. But I highly don't think so. I'm pretty sure that starts around, like, South Carolina down. So, again, what?
Dr. King's legacy had a profound impact on me and my generation, whether you're black or white. I left the fancy law firm I had just joined and decided to become a public defender, and then a county councilman working to change our state's politics to embrace the cause of civil rights. The Democratic Party in Delaware was a Southern Democratic Party at the time. They wanted to change it to become a Northeastern Democratic Party.
I don't know what this moron's talking about here. He says MLK had a profound impact on me and my generation. I kind of feel like he meant that in a positive way. But he's always been pretty ridiculously racist. I mean, it's very easy to find multiple clips of him being openly racist. You know, the whole situation with you can't go into a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts without a slight Indian accent, or you ain't black if you don't vote for me, or, you know, when he was actually saying the N-word in Congress. That one's a joke. I mean, he really did say it, but he was also quoting something, so it's not like he was straight out just saying it, but still. You know, poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. The list goes on and on. So, what are you talking about had an impact on you? I don't think, especially when you were less senile, I don't think you cared at all about MLK. You were probably like, good, that N-word is killed. One down, several more to go. Now you're going to pretend that you actually cared, and then, I left my prestigious law firm to become a public defender and blah, 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 all this other nonsense. I don't know the details, I'm not going to look it up, but I'm sure that's some kind of wild lie. You probably got kicked out of your law firm because, again, you were a very average student, bottom of your class, so you probably sucked at the law firm, and they were like, why did we hire you? So public defender was the only thing you had left, because public defender doesn't seem like it's too hard. If you've ever seen The Night Of, that HBO miniseries, kind of seems easy. You just got to be someone to show up in court in place of these people that are in a holding cell. And that's it. That's your job. And you get $250 an hour. Whoops, don't mean to be putting my hand in the way like that. So yeah, that's something pretty easy that a brain-dead guy like Joe Biden can handle. And yeah, then he says stuff like, I want to change things. Again, we know your policies from back in the day. I mean, you were all about, I don't want a racial jungle. My kid's growing up in a racial jungle and all this. You came up with tons of legislation over your time that was like, the crime bill and all that. All this stuff that was semi-racist. And you're going to pretend that you're a pro segregation and civil rights and all this? No, you weren't. You weren't ever. The only reason you are now is because you're pandering, and you need to pretend to be. You still aren't. You're just pretending to be because you're trying to win re-election. Pander to the black people. Idiot. This guy is so stupid. He acts like we can't just look up his career. He's been in politics for his entire life. Since, 1973? He acts like nobody can do a little research and find things out. Geez, with today's technology, all those students are in the crowd with a cell phone. They can easily start Googling stuff and getting information in real time as he's lying to them. Like, how dumb does he have to be? Or why does he have to be so dumb? Maybe that's how I should phrase it, because we know how dumb he is, so... But why does he have to be dumb? I mean, I guess he has Alzheimer's, but... whatever. Next clip.
You missed your high school graduation. You started college just as George Floyd was murdered.
So I kind of started it late, but he was talking about the pandemic and kind of like what it robbed everyone of. It robbed you of some of your family members, it robbed you of your high school graduation, robbed you of a lot of interpersonal time with others because lockdowns and all that. And then he goes on and says the whole George Floyd was murdered. This whole trope that they want to keep pushing is annoying. George Floyd was a criminal and a piece of crap. Let's be real. I mean, he was not murdered. He basically killed himself. It was a slow burn, but he did it to himself. He was super high on fentanyl and something else. I don't know off the top of my head, but he was on 2 drugs, strung out, and he was yelling, "I can't breathe," even before anything, way before he got taken out, and, you know, the whole famous scene with Derek Chauvin and stuff. Like, he was, like, in his own car or something, already yelling, "I can't breathe." Yeah, because that's one of the side effects of, I think it's fentanyl. If you take too much, you get a feeling that you can't breathe. I think you're breathing just fine, but you feel like you can't breathe. Unless you really aren't breathing. I don't know. I don't care. I don't do drugs. It's not a side effect I need to worry about, but it's one of those areas. So that's what this moron's problem was. Also, why were police there? Were they there for no reason? No, they were there because he had the cops called on him because he just tried to buy something, essentially steal. He was trying to buy something with fake money, which I do feel is a bit aggressive to be calling the cops. Like, I've worked in fast food for several years, you know, all throughout high school and college, and when I got fake money, I didn't call the cops. I'd either just take it and pass it off, like, whatever, they'll bring it to the bank and get it handled there, or I'd just tell them, "Oh, this isn't real, I can't take this," and that was it. I wasn't like, "Oh my god, I gotta call the cops." So I don't know, it makes me wonder, did he only have fake money in his wallet? Was there more to the story? Also, he's on drugs, so maybe he's acting ridiculous, so that kind of made the clerk uneasy, and that's why they called the cops. I don't know. But regardless, there's a reason why the cops were there. There's possibly also a reason why 4 cops were there. It wasn't just like it was only Derek Chauvin. There's 3 other guys. Why did you need so many? What's the full context? I don't know. I'm sure the information's out there. I haven't looked it up, but the point I'm trying to make is it's not readily available because the media doesn't want to tell you that. They want to just make it like, "Oh, Derek Chauvin was racist and killed this guy." No, he was a piece of crap. I mean, did he even have a job? I don't think he had a job. He had kids that he didn't see, wasn't paying child support for them either. And yeah. And I'm also pretty sure, like 100%, that the move that Derek Chauvin was doing to restrain him was a normal, regular move that they teach you in, like, police academy and all that. It's a basic police restraint move. Obviously, George Floyd, being strung out on all kinds of drugs, was probably moving around a lot, resisting and all that. And so Chauvin did that move to restrain him, keep him still, keep him in line. I mean, I guess you can argue, did he really have to stay on him for 9 minutes? That I do find kind of weird. Like, restrain him, get the cuffs on him, throw him in your car. Don't really know what he was waiting for 9 minutes, but still, at the end of the day, even the autopsy report says there was no signs of asphyxiation or anything. He wasn't killed by Derek Chauvin. He killed himself, basically. But nope, we can't tell that story because he was black and a white cop was the one that apprehended him. So he was killed. And the leftists and liberals are gonna talk about that forever. Just like Michael Brown. Michael Brown was a huge piece of crap. I saw the video footage of what happened when he went after that cop, and it was ridiculous. He's this big guy charging like this little nerd white guy cop. Like, of course the cop got scared. He's a little nerd dweeb, probably got picked on a lot in high school, that's why he decided to become a cop. And here's this big guy charging on him, not listening to the commands. Like, he brought it on himself why he ended up getting shot. It wasn't like the nerd white cop was just like, "Oh, I hate black people. I'm going to take advantage of having a gun." No. This idiot wasn't listening. He was told to stop, freeze, all this, didn't want to do it. He tried to reach for the cop's gun. So, you get what you get coming to you when you want to act like an idiot. But nope, the story is, Kamala Harris had a tweet the other day. "Oh, poor Michael Brown. He would have been 28 today, but his life was cut short." Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, by his own doing. If he wasn't an idiot, then he would be 28 years old in jail. He'd still be alive, and he would just be in jail for acting like an idiot, and then someday his time would come up, and he'd be back out in society again with his family and all that. But he wanted to act like an idiot, so now he's in the ground. Whose fault is that? Just like this George Floyd stuff. George Floyd was such a waste of space, a loser, not a productive member of society at all. But, because a white cop was apprehending him when he died, of his own doing, essentially. Oh, we gotta immortalize him, and boo-hoo-hoo, he's such a saint and a legend.
What is democracy? If black men are being killed in the street, what is democracy? The trail of broken promises still leave black communities behind. What is democracy? If you have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot. And most of all, what does it mean, as we've heard before, to be a black man who loves his country, even if it doesn't love him back in equal measure?
So I really hope that majority, if not all of these students, are smart enough to see through this nonsense, because everything that he says makes absolutely no sense. First off, you have a college that's either just predominantly or exclusively black. I don't know which way it is. There is a white guy in the crowd. I mean, I would assume he's administrator of some sort. So he's white, so he's there at least. But I don't know what the students are, but I would think it's probably just black. Now, that can exist. Now, could an all-white school exist? You know, if there was a school that was all-white only, oh, that would be so bad. It'd be so racist. They'd have to petition it, shut it down. Oh, I can't believe you don't let, blacks in or Asians or whatever. But all black school, that's fine. But here we go. This moron up here trying to pander to them, acting like they don't have anything. Oh, you got to work 10 times harder to get a position. What are you talking about? Anybody has to work 10 times harder. Nobody has to work 10 times harder, especially nowadays. You're trying to say this to the black community? Have you forgotten about your dumb DEI nonsense that basically just hires people just because they're black? I mean, that's kind of what's happening a lot in today's society. You get the airlines hiring people that are minorities just because they're minorities, and they're very underqualified. But no, we can't hire the white guy because that's racist. We gotta hire this loser that has no experience, but they're black. Or, well, I said airlines because that's the best example. Like how there's been so many failures going on recently with the builds and the flying and everything. But it's like that everywhere. So no, you don't have to work 10 times harder. You get to work 10 times less as hard. There's also the admissions nonsense. How they were, kind of allowing, having a higher acceptance rate of black students into college than any other race, white, Chinese, whatever. So again, you don't have to work 10 times harder. You just have to be black. And okay, yeah, we'll accept you. I think that ended recently. That ended like last summer or something like that, or last fall. I think that ended because the college that I'm affiliated with sent out a notice to everybody, and I think that was in it. The president of the college was like trying to whine about, oh, I can't believe this, blah, blah, it's gonna make this harder. It's like, it's not gonna make it harder for anybody. It's called fair game. You want to get into school, you work hard, you get good grades, you have good attendance, maybe you do some extracurriculars, you work hard and you earn your spot. You don't just get it handed to you because, oh, I'm black. That's all my qualifications. Same as working 10 times harder to get a job. You don't have to work 10 times harder. You just work as hard as everyone else. So when you all go to apply to a job, you all have great qualifications, but the one that was the greatest is the one that gets to win. So if the black guy wins, he should win not because he's black, but because there was something extra about him. Maybe the way he spoke was more eloquent. Maybe the way he dressed was a little cleaner and sharper. Maybe his grades were slightly higher. Maybe everyone had all A's, but his were, instead of 94s, he had 95s. Like, that's what it should be on. Your actual qualifications, not some immutable nonsense that you can't control at all. What else did brain-dead dickbag say? He said one other stupid thing in this spiel. He was talking about work 10 times harder. What is democracy? What does that have to do with anything either? Why does he keep saying, what is democracy? Democracy is supposed to be a form of government. It has absolutely nothing to do with if you're black or not. Which, again, our country's not even a democracy. It's called the Constitutional Republic, brain dead. As the president, you should know this.
If black men are being killed in the street, we bear witness. For me, that means to call out the poison of white supremacy.
There it is. He said it again. It reminded me. Yeah, talking about black people being killed in the streets. And then he tries to link it into white supremacy. What are you talking about? Majority of black deaths are a result of black-on-black violence. Chicago. You think that's white people just out there killing black people. No, that's the gangs going to town on one another. They never want to say that. They just want to pull out the once in a while instance of, oh, a white person got a black person. They don't ever want to talk about anytime black people do things to white people. They don't want to talk about all the violence of black on black. They don't want to try to solve the problem at the root cause, which is, well, as Ben Shapiro said, the black culture. Has nothing to do with racism, nothing to do with any of that other stuff. It's black culture. It's fathers not being in the home. It's, that weird thug life, lifestyle that they all, like, strive for, I guess you could say. It's all that nonsense. They don't ever want to talk about that and how to fix that and make black people go down a more bright, better path. Nope, just want to blame it on racism and white supremacy and all this other dumb, nonsense, irrelevant crap that has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Like, I don't even really know what to say, because he ended that with white supremacy, and it's like, what are you trying to say? Because once in a while, a loser like George Floyd gets killed while being apprehended by white police because of his own actions? So that becomes white supremacy? I don't think Derek Chauvin was a white supremacist. He doesn't look like a neo-Nazi or anything like that. He was just a cop doing his job. But nope, then you gotta twist it. It's just like recently on The View. Tulsi Gabbard was on there trying to talk, and Joy Behar, that brain-dead genius, IQ in the single digits, tries to relate some things that she said, that Tulsi Gabbard has said in the past, to being, like, equivalent of white supremacist. And it was just like, why is this the leftists go to, insult? Every single time. Like, the thing that Tulsi Gabbard said had nothing to do with anything like that. And somehow it was related to white supremacists. Like, I think she was talking about how when 9/11 happened, it inspired her to become to enroll in the military. And she served 16 years in the military and all this. And then Joy Behar is like, oh, well, that has to do with white supremacy. And it was just like, what? How do you link joining the army because your country was attacked and you want to help defend it to white supremacy? But that's what happens when you're a brain-dead lefty, just like our stupid loser of a president we currently have.
Delivering affordable high-speed internet, so no child has to sit in a parent's car or do their homework in a parking lot outside of McDonald's.
I don't know if he's trying to relate this line about the internet to black people only, like saying that they are too poor or something to be able to afford internet or what. And I don't know if he's... I mean, I would imagine that he's saying that because he's at a black school right now and he's trying to pander. But I don't really know exactly what his context is, but I just want to say, like, why are you only worried about black kids, if that's the case, being able to have internet at home to do their homework? Growing up, we never even had a computer. We didn't have a computer. Obviously, we didn't have internet. I mean, to this day, I still don't have internet. I do have a computer, but I don't have internet. My internet is my phone. That's about it. I don't have internet. And largely, it's just because it's a bill that I don't need. I wouldn't say I live paycheck to paycheck, but I don't need to have another bill. I have enough bills to begin with. I don't need to worry about an internet bill. So I don't have it. But when I was a kid, I used to just take advantage of the school having computers. I would always have a study hall scheduled into my schedule. That way then I could go down to study hall and use the computers in the library to do any typing homework I'd have, any research homework I'd have. I got through high school just fine without having internet or a computer at home. So, I mean, it's doable. I don't really know what this dumb excuse is that you need to have internet at home to, do good at school. You can find ways to do it. Like they say, if there's a will, there's a way. I always found the way. Even when I went to college. I majored in engineering. I needed to use CAD. I didn't have a computer or internet, so I would go to school early, use their computers, do my homework before class, and then go to class and turn in my assignments on my flash drive. If there's a will, there's a way. So that I don't know what this whole bit is you're trying to say. Again, I guess you're trying to hope that everyone's dumb and just can't think for themselves. Affordable internet? That sounds good.
Good paying jobs you can raise a family on in your neighborhood. Capital to start small business and loans to buy homes. Health insurance, prescription drugs, housing. That's more affordable and accessible.
I'd like to think that anybody watching this knows how dumb that statement was. I mean, first off, let's not forget about inflation. That's basically the problem right now that's hurting everybody, is the violent inflation. It's also minimum wage going up in all these states, because as minimum wage goes up, people are losing jobs because they're cutting back on hours, because they don't want to be spending that much money on their labor. Or they're automating, which means people are just straight up losing their jobs because a machine took over. Because they're like, $20 an hour? Or machine rate, which is like, the electricity that it costs to run the machine. Also, he's talking about affordable housing. Hey, retard, do you not realize what you've done to the economy? Housing is really not affordable. I suppose the average house nowadays is what, 400 and something $1,000, and you get that at like a 7% interest rate. So in the end, when you're done paying your house off, it's well over $1 million that you paid. Does that sound affordable to you? I mean, maybe now that you've 10% to the big guy and all your laundering you've been doing in Ukraine, you got tons of money, so I guess that sounds very affordable. But to an average person, that is not affordable. Not too long ago, like under Trump, interest rates were like 2%, 3%. And a house was going for like $200,000. You come along and double the cost of a house and blow the interest rate way out of proportion. So I don't know where you're getting off with saying that more affordable housing. No, it's not. Rent isn't either. You can't, even if you don't want to try to own your own place, rent is ridiculous. Rents on average in my area for like a 3-bedroom is $1,650 a month. That's dumb. If everything stayed proportionate, relatively speaking, from like 1950s, I think rent would be like $550 a month for a 3-bedroom. But because inflation took way off, it's not like that. It's insane. But, affordable housing. What else is he saying? Give you some money for small business. I mean, I suppose that's fine. What was the other thing? I thought there was one other thing that he said that was pretty stupid. I don't know. Everything he says is stupid, though.
I'm relieving the burden of student debt. Many of you have already had the benefit of it, so I can chase your dream and grow the economy. When the Supreme Court told me I couldn't, I found 2 other ways to do it. And we were able to do it because it grows the economy.
Can you imagine if, like, Trump did something like this? Oh, the Supreme Court told me that I couldn't forgive your debt, but I found 2 other ways to do it. The whole entire left and Democratic Party would be crying, oh, tyranny! He wants to be king! He wants to be a dictator! He wants to blah, blah, blah! He's not even following the rules of government! He's anti-democracy! Our democracy's at stake! But, it's okay when this dickhead does it, right? Oh, you're just gonna ignore the Supreme Court? That's not how this works, motherfucker! You guys work in a triangle. You check the judiciary and the legislative. Legislative checks judiciary and executive. And judiciary checks executive and legislative. So if they say no, then it's no. It's not, oh, well, I'm going to go do my own thing. Duh. But it's fine, though, right? Because you're on the right team. But again, if Trump did that, it'd be end of the world, right? The other thing is he ends that off with saying it's the right thing to do because it helps grow the economy. How does forgiving all this loan debt grow the economy? Basically, all that's doing now is putting all these people's debt onto everyone else. And then that means it's added to the national debt. So how exactly does that grow the economy? If anything, all that's doing is causing more inflation and more burden for future taxpayers. It's not growing the economy at all, you brain-dead idiot. I think his idea also is, oh, well, then they have more money in their pocket to spend. Okay, well, after you graduate college, you start as an entry level and you make dick money anyways. I don't know. I was there. You make dick. I had to work 2 jobs in the beginning. I graduated college and was very disappointed. Like, seriously, I thought college was to make a better life, and I need to work 2 jobs because I don't make enough off of 1 job. So your theory's pretty dumb. It's not going to help the economy at all. It's not like people are going to have tons of extra money to go do big, wild things. Oh, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to buy a house. Oh my God, I'm going to do so much stuff that's great for the economy. No, you ain't going to have money. And with this huge inflation rate we got going, you really aren't going to have money. Jeez. I didn't have money when inflation was way lower. This was back in 2011. Never mind now. I can only imagine how broke I'd be now with making what I started with. Actually, to be fair, what I made when I started after college is what is actually less than what minimum wage is now. So I know I'd be struggling viciously. But yeah, and that's also dumb too. This whole situation with trying to forgive loans is just so dumb because it brings up like 25,000 caveats. What about the people who actually did pay off their loans? Worked hard, saved money, went without, didn't go on vacations, didn't go on trips, didn't eat fancy foods, didn't do any of that so they could pay their loans off. So what? They just get a big middle finger? Hey, now you get to take on other people's loans too in your taxes. Or what about people in the future? Does this mean now you're just gonna continuously every new wave of students you're just gonna keep forgiving some of their loans? Well, then at that point, what's the point of even getting the loans? I guess college should just be free then, right? Because now you're giving out money so they can go to these schools, but then you're gonna be like, oh, you don't have to pay it back, it's fine. So it's like free money, but at the same time, it's not because the student didn't do anything with it. They gave it to the school, but then they don't have to pay it back. So I guess this is a weird money laundering scheme with schools laundering money from banks or something. Like, it doesn't even make sense. And a lot of these students too nowadays major in worthless crap. Gender studies, queer studies, lesbian dance theory. Like, you're gonna forgive loans for that? For an idiot that majored in the dumbest thing who can't get a job because, gee, I wonder why? And then now, too, you got all these morons protesting because they want to be on the wrong side of history, and they're rooting for Hamas. And so they're protesting because of Israel. Oh, why are we pro-Israel? Gee, I wonder why, idiots. But then they go to their graduation and they protest there. They either rip up their diploma like a bunch of idiots, or they have some stupid speech to give, or they don't show up to their graduation. And that's who you're going to forgive loans for? Not the serious people that actually care, but no, these idiots, this generation of idiots. Really?
I want to say this very clearly. I support peaceful, nonviolent protest. Your voices should be heard, and I promise you I hear them. I determined to make my administration look like America. I have more African Americans in high places, including on the court, than any president in American history.
All of that was very dumb. First off, he says, I support peaceful, nonviolent protests. But yet January 6th was the worst day in the world, right? Which basically was peaceful. It was grandparents getting a free tour of the Capitol building. Wow. I mean, one person, I think, was killed that day. But there's details around that, too. Unfortunately, I don't know those details, but it's not like the rioters straight up, like, killed her or whatever. I forget what the details are, but there is a story behind it. Like, but if you listen to just Democrats and the left, oh, it was so terrible, it was violent, and they were trying to this and that, break in, kill us, it was terrifying. Yet the shaman, who was, like, the leader, just kind of walked around. When he got into the chamber where Nancy Pelosi's chair is and all that, where they do the State of the Union, he even asked the security guard that was in there, hey, do you mind if I sit at Nancy's chair? And the guy said, yeah, that's fine, just don't touch anything. Wow, that sounds so bad. The leader of this violent uprising is asking permission to go sit at somebody's chair. That's usually what I think of as being done. That must be what's happening at all those ones in the inner cities, right? When they're like flipping over police cars and burning them. They must have asked the cop first, hey, can I flip your car over and burn it? Maybe smash all the windows out. Would that be cool? And the cops must have said, yeah, right? That must be what's going on. And then he says, I'm determined to make my administration look more like America. By hiring all DEI? By having Corinne Jean-Pierre, be a black lesbian? Is that what the majority of the Americans are? Black lesbians? Is that what majority of the United States population is? DEI hires? Mixed race people like Kamala, black like whoever else you want to hire, weird gay trans things like your, what is it, Secretary of Defense nowadays? Or the bald kid? Is that what America is? No, you're pandering to a weird extreme liberal group. That's what you're going after. You're not going after normal everyday people. Also, this moron says your voices should be heard for the protests. And it's like, well, when? You don't listen to anybody. You definitely, if they're a Republican, if you're a red person, or you support Trump or something, you definitely aren't listening to them. Everything that you say is always attacking MAGA Republicans, acting like they're so terrible threat to democracy. and all this nonsense. So you're singling out half of the country there, and as far as the other half, you don't even listen to them anyways. Not like you should. They're all extremely psycho, and they're like ants. They just say dumb stuff that comes to their mind. They don't think, because they can't think. They're too busy just being part of a hive mind and I gotta dye my hair blue. I gotta shave half my head but not my armpits because that tells a message to men. Fuck the patriarchy. So you better not listen to those either because those are insane. But it's just like, you don't listen to anybody. It's like you just keep doing your own weird, dumb nonsense and lying all the time. Just constantly lie. Hey, why tell the truth when I can just lie?
I'm working around the clock to lead an international effort to get more aid into Gaza. Rebuild Gaza. I'm also working around the clock for more than just one ceasefire. I'm working to bring the region together. I'm working to build a lasting, durable peace. Because the question is, and you see what's going on in Israel today.
All right, I'm going to be ending it now because I can't keep listening to this dickbag. There's still about 10 minutes of it, and I don't want to hear him and his dumb nonsense. So I'm going to just give some little cliff notes as to some of the things that we didn't get to. But for starters, I did include this one last clip that I'm going to talk to because I thought it was funny how he says, I'm working around the clock. Like, dickhead, no you're not. We know you go to bed at like 7, and then you get up at, I don't know when you get up, but, I mean, you probably get up like normal old people, so around 5:30. But that ain't around the clock, going to bed at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Also, you are on vacation constantly. Which I find that very ironic. Obama was constantly on vacation too, especially his first term, constantly in Hawaii, and no one ever had an issue with that. Trump literally took 3 days off during his presidency to go golfing at his own club, Mar-a-Lago, which is his. And they threw a huge fit about that, like, oh, he's just vacationing all the time. Oh, we're in the middle of a pandemic and he's taking time off. It's like, 3 days? Biden and Obama are constantly on vacation. Biden relaxing at the beach, riding the bike and falling off, going for a stroll somewhere. But that's cool, right? Oh, the economy's trash, but that's okay. You can take a vacation, you senile piece of crap. Also, speaking of around the clock, Trump worked around the clock. I mean, seriously, the guy runs on 4 hours of sleep a night, wakes up at 4 a.m., goes to bed at midnight every single day. You want to talk about working around the clock? Jeez. But no, don't give him that credit, right? Biden's working around the clock. The guy that needs like pounds of cocaine to give a speech at 9 at night. He's working around the clock. But anyways, a few other things that get brought up that I just wanted to touch base on. I don't feel like getting into it in the video because, like I said, this is boring listening to this moron. Was one thing he said was, you know, the usual, the book bans. I can't believe that they're trying to erase history with banning books in schools and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, there's another dumb talking point that they love to have all the time. Nobody is banning books of any kind of educational value. It's pornographic type nonsense being banned from elementary schools, which, quite honestly, should be banned from all schools, or at least grade schools, elementary through high school, because technically, these kids predominantly that go to these schools are under 18 years old. 18 is when you're an adult. If you're under 18, it means you're still a minor, which means you shouldn't be looking at adult content. So it should be banned in all grades. There's absolutely no problem with that at all. It's very weird that the Democrats and other lefties that agree with it too have a problem with this. Like, oh my god, you're banning porn from school? I can't believe that my 7-year-old can't just go to the library and pick up a Playboy. Okay, it's not really that explicit, but it's pretty dang explicit. It's either written explicitly, or it's like, you know, kind of like a graphic novel, and there's a cartoon drawn that's doing some kind of weird explicit sexual act, and it's just like, this belongs in school? You're gonna whine about this? The irony is, you know, the party of democracy and all this is the one that's actually trying to erase history. Look at everything they did recently with, like, Uncle Ben, Aunt Jemima, and all that. Erase those, because somehow those are racist. It's people that actually made it, and they made a product that exists to this day, but somehow it's racist to have them be recognized for their achievements, so we gotta eliminate them from the packaging. And at the same time, you know, defacing past heroes and stuff, monuments and all that, that's great. You know, currently they're like vandalizing George Washington statues. That's good, right? And let's erect George Floyd statues and put up murals of George Floyd in place of these people that actually did something that mattered and meant something. Because, Yeah, that's not erasing history at all. So dumb. And then the other thing that I can think of off the top of my head that's pretty stupid that he was talking about was he was talking about something in Georgia. I think it had to do with like elections or something, and he was saying they're banning people having water. And it's like, no, you brain dead moron. See, this is like what I said in the very beginning. This is one of those half truths. Because technically there is like a water ban in effect, but it's not like you can't have your own drink. Basically what it is they are banning people from trying to influence somebody's vote, bribing people. You know, you can't go up to somebody with a cold bottle of water and be like, hey, I'll give you this for free if you vote Democrat, huh? You can't do that. So if there's going to be water there that's available, it's going to be neutral. It's either free for everyone or everyone has to pay $1 for a bottle or whatever. There's no bribes going on. Hey, vote Democrat. I'll give you two bottles of water. That's what was being banned, to keep things neutral. But nope, will this idiot say that? Or does this idiot even know that? Probably not. I mean, he doesn't even know that he's president half the time. He has to be reminded every morning. So I highly doubt that he knows those details. Which is case in point why he doesn't say that and leaves that out and acts like, oh, they're just banning water. Who does that? Who leaves dehydrated people to dehydrate? Nobody, idiot. Why don't you pay attention to what's actually happening? Anyways, so yeah, there might be more stuff, but I don't want to keep going. This guy's an idiot. I can't stand him, and this is way too long. His speech itself is like 35 minutes, but then when he added in me, it's been an hour for me now, so I don't want to keep doing this. But yeah, Biden's a complete moron, and in November he will be out. The only way he won't be is if they cheat again, which I'm pretty sure all of America will know that there was cheating, because nobody likes him. His polling is very low. For like his popularity, like his approval, is very low. B, his popularity is low. Trump is up in everything, especially the swing states, which that's the states that matter, because the other states are kind of established. If you're a red state, you're red. If you're blue, you're blue. It's those purple states that matter, and Trump has 6 out of the 7, which means a clear landslide victory. So, if somehow he loses, you know it's rigged, and there was a whole bunch of cheating, just like in 2020. But yeah, I can't wait for this idiot to be out. That way then we can have a good president back in office. Our economy can get back to where it needs to be. I can refinance my house, so that way then I can have a great interest rate. My monthly mortgage will be way down, which will make me feel way richer. I'll have money to actually put into the house. Instead of just into the mortgage, I can put it into the house and fix it up. It'll be fantastic. So yeah, Trump 2024, and hopefully moving forward it just stays Republican. You know, DeSantis 2028, DeSantis 2032, Ramaswamy 36, and so on. But anyways, I guess that's all I got. So if you actually check this out, thanks a whole bunch. That's what I make it for. And yeah, until next time, see ya.
What must be what? What must be what? What must be what?